Hey there friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and Brill and I are here today to talk to you about a book that is absolutely magnificent. It's fantastic, it's just so beautifully written and completely incredible, and we hope that it will be something that you want to read as well. So this book is actually, it's a little bit of an older book, but it just came on my radar recently and I read it. And actually couldn't stop reading it. I couldn't put it down. I haven't been able to stop thinking about it ever since I did finish reading it. So I really wanted to share it with all of you as well. Now, it is a little bit of a sad book and it deals with some really heavy topics. And I will go over what those are, and then you can decide if it's something that you think you want to read, or maybe wait for a little bit until you're in the right headspace for it. So the book that I'm talking about is Nest by Esther Ehrlich. Nest. Just a cute, simple, beautiful, really, cover in its simplicity, right? So this book follows a girl named Naomi, whose nickname is Chirp, and she is 11 years old and she lives in Cape Cod with her family. She's got a father, a mother, and an older sister. She's Rachel, her sister's a couple years older. So one of the things I really did love about this book was the fact that it did take place in the Cape Cod, and just the descriptions of the nature and the animals and the water and all. There's just, the setting of this book was absolutely gorgeous. I've never been to Cape Cod. I've been to Massachusetts, but not Cape Cod, and it's just, it really made me feel like I was living there alongside Chirp. So, like I said, this book does deal with some really heavy topics. So I'm going to give you a synopsis of this book right now that does give a few things away, but these things are really heavily foreshadowed right from the beginning of the book. So it's really not a super big spoiler or a big surprise. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of a rundown just so that you know what you're getting into with this book. So this is a book that deals with grief in its most raw form. So Chirp, like I said, lives with her family. Her mother was a dancer. She loves to dance. She's always moving around. Well, in the beginning of the book, we're discovering that she has been diagnosed with MS. So MS is a disease that you deteriorate with it over time physically, and her mom knows that she is not going to be able to dance and live the kind of life that she has always lived until now. Because of this, she falls into a really deep depression. She gets treated for it. It doesn't really do any good, and she does end up taking her own life. So this book deals with some really, like I said, some really tough topics, but it's done in a way that is just such a beautiful and thorough portrayal of grief, and the way families grieve and the way people grieve on their own. It's just absolutely remarkable. It reminds me a lot of Jess Redmond's books, particularly Miraculous, which I know I've talked about on here before, which is about the boy who had a baby sister that had just died, and him dealing with grief. And this book reminded me a lot of that because it was very much of Chirp dealing with this grief herself and not knowing how to handle it, but also the way that her grief connected her and disconnected her from her remaining family members. So how she was, her relationship with her sister, her relationship with her father, and the way that they all found each other again and came back to each other. So the book definitely, despite its really sad subject matter, it does have a hopeful message. It does have a hopeful ending, and it does make you feel like, even when things can get really bad and things can get really dark, they can get brighter again. There is hope that comes with time. And I would absolutely recommend this for any young person that's dealing with grief, really of any form, alongside, like I said, Jess Redmond's Miraculous and some of those other works. And like I said, the beauty of the surroundings really help just create this absolute evocative tale. Also, it's a little bit of a historical fiction, kind of, because it takes place in the late 60s, early 70s as well. So there's not really phones, there's not really internet, there isn't really like any kind of online or media sanctuary for Chirp like some of us would deal with nowadays, right? So watching her, she becomes really good friends with the neighbor boy, and like I said, going out and the animals and the nature that she always connected to was just absolutely gorgeous. So like I said, I hope I didn't give too much away with this book, but I think that it is a really important book for people to read, especially young people, because it really demonstrates grief and the ways that we feel grief, and also ways to heal from that. Right? So it's not all about just experiencing it, but how we heal and can get past it, and how we can connect with other people again, even within our grief, which was super important. And that was my favorite part of this book as well, was that it was not just about a story about a girl whose mom died. It was a story about a girl whose mom died, but then she was learning to find herself again after that. Absolutely beautiful story. Nest by Esther Ehrlich. Well, I hope that that book sounds just as fantastic as I found it to be, and that it's something that you want to read and explore for yourself. If so, please feel free to come check it out from Farmington Community Library, and also please give this video a like. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful rest of the day.